I have a shameless plug. I really, really appreciate you guys listening in some ways to my conversations about identity. But did you know that chatting isn't the only thing I do? I love to paint. And now you can have a bit of my art in your house. It also makes great gifts, by the way. So check it out at aubreyjeanart.etsy.com. That's aubreyjeanart.etsy.com. And also hit me up on Instagram at my handle, aubreyjeanart. I'd love to hear from you. Welcome to 132nd Cherokee, the podcast that explores the unexpected and who we are. I'm your host, Aubrey Jean. With me today is Tiffany. She's a business owner, a genealogist, and my friend. I owe painting to her because she looked at my family line trying to hunt for SCW, and she didn't get very far. But we talked about it. It'll be good. I learned a lot. Hope you enjoy.
Hey, I'm a painter, a writer, a musician, and now I'm an anchorman. That's how it works, right? I'm using the Anchor app to make my first podcast, and it is free. There are certain tools that I use to record and edit my podcast, and it's right on my phone or computer, and it distributes my podcast for me so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, and I can make money from this podcast, which would be crazy because it's all about my family. But it's everything I need to make a podcast in one place, and you can too. If I can do it, you can. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Okay. I didn't actually listen. I got impatient, so
Oh, okay.
so it's fine. We're gonna just go as it is, and I think it'll be fine. When you're talking about your family history and the painting I'm gonna paint you, you had mentioned that you had found a small little town in Norway that your family was from, and it was significant because your family been lost for a while, this branch of the family.
Yeah, nobody had really done it because it was Norway, and of course, nobody reads Norwegian, so they just really didn't want to tackle it. They stayed with the American records, and we have extensive cousins and extended family that they do all the American stuff, and nobody had tackled it. So I did. I chose to do it.
So when you say that no one had tackled it, they hadn't got records and made sure that your family tree had extended back to that branch.
Right. Nobody had put it on a pedigree chart or a family tree saying that. We knew, we also had the family lore of who our grandparents and great-grandparents and how they came over and all of that, but it wasn't written down anywhere.
From Norway?
Yeah.
So you kind of grew up with this lore that you guys were Norwegian from that side, but no one had recorded it.
Yeah, nobody had actually researched it at all. I had a cousin that tried, but she didn't get very far. She found, I think, her birth record on Ancestry.com, but she didn't take it anywhere other than that. So I used that to kind of springboard from and took it further and chose to, get into the mess of finding records and figuring out what path I want to go on.
And so that's how you found the little town in Norway?
The town in Norway is called Vikdal, Vikedal, Vikdal. And so I had that from some record. I can't remember what record I had it from, but I didn't know where it was or how it was related to my great-grandmother, if it was her birth town or just a place that she lived. So I didn't know that. So I had some research to do, Googling it and finding out all the history that I could on the town, and then kind of trying to link my ancestor with that town.
So you are a professional genealogist, is that correct? Did I get that right?
Well, I don't have the letters behind my name yet, so technically I'm not a professional. I am a genealogist. I have taken schooling for it, But as far as being a scholar,
Is it like you don't have privileges in a certain hospital?
right? Nothing
Tell
like
you,
that.
so you don't have privileges in the records department of life.
Right. I am a
Oh, okay.
genealogist and I do have my own business and I have taken schooling. I just haven't taken enough schooling for me to get those.
You're saying that you test pending for further schooling, but yeah, you still have a business.
So I consider myself a genealogist.
And I actually have used your professional services for that.
Yes, you have. Yep. In fact, you were one of my first clients.
So let's talk about the process. Tiffany helped me a little bit. My goal, of course, was to find out about Sarah Catherine Woods, see if we can find any records, and if because I brought the problem to you. And what is the problem as you understand it?
Well, the way that you presented it is you wanted to prove those stories, the family lore would be correct.
And I
So,
remember I turned everything over to you that my grandma had given me. Like, I think I turned over birth certificates and
mhm.
registration for the reservation and pictures, I think, like the newspaper clipping with Sarah and her husband and all of that stuff. I just kind of turned it over to you and like, this is what I've got.
Yep. And that's actually really good because as genealogists, we don't know anything about your family at first. So we do need that foundation of we have to have a general sense of what the person is, what their family is like in order to get a feel of where to look for the records. And we need to know the history of them too to figure out, what records to look for. So yeah.
You're welcome. No, I had all that stuff and I thought, oh, I hope it's okay that I'm sending all this stuff over to you. But
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it would help you kind of gain sort of like what was going on, because in fact we were registered with the reservation, or we are still registered with the reservation. But yeah, the Dawes roll, it's not the right woman that they're connected to. So what was some of your process of sifting through that information?
First of all, I have to clarify that Cherokee was not my first area of study. So I actually had to first learn about how to research Cherokee genealogy because that was not my area of expertise.
Yeah. What did you learn about that?
Well, it's a lot of the Native American history is oral. It's not written down. And so there's a lot of discrepancies. And so I had that was the first challenge that I ran into is she had a life, but it may not have been written down anywhere because that's not their way. They didn't want to do that at the time. During my research for the American records, like census records, they didn't necessarily want to write their nationality as Cherokee or Native American or Indian or indigenous or whatever it is, because they might have wanted to blend in to the society. And so yeah, I just had to learn. I went on Family Search Wiki, has a lot of that background that I need. That's always my first process when I have a new pedigree that I'm working with. I always look at Family Search Wiki or I Google it to kind of learn the background, the history of the area, what records were there during certain times. Sometimes the courthouses were burned, and so a lot of the records were lost that way, or border changes or things like that. So I had to learn all of that first for Sarah Catherine Woods and where she lived. I mean, I learned a lot about Buchanan County, Virginia, and just what records I would be able to find. So I didn't waste my time, because that's the biggest thing for genealogists is my clients are paying me for the time that I'm putting into it. And so I don't want to waste their time by searching for records that are not there. I had to figure out birth, marriage, and death records. When did they start in that certain county or that certain state? And so I wouldn't be wasting your time. So that's always my first step, is just I need that historical background. I need to learn about the area first before I even jump into the pedigree. And then I needed to know what exactly you were looking for.
I do remember that you asked me, I think maybe a couple times, like, just what is your question, to make sure that I was kind of clear, what is my goal? Because I feel just like, here, this is a pile of a whole bunch of stuff with Sarah's name on it. Help me. And you're like, What is your question?
Yes.
What is it that I'm looking for? Do you want me to organize a stack of papers or do you want me to find something?
Exactly. It's just, again, to narrow it down because pedigree charts are so full of multiple goals that you could do that,
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to just do it all, but you don't have, like, the money's not there and the time is not there because that would take weeks. So for us, we kind of have to have laser vision and just focus on, okay, what's the first goal that you want? Okay. And then fill that. And that's what's called our project. Have we met that goal that she wanted? And if not, why?
What else did you find? Like, what did you discover when you're sifting through all of that?
Not much, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I did find that there was a lot of lore that they had, and your family tried to prove it by saying, these surnames were a part of this list.
There was that surname on the Dawes roll, but it's not the right person.
Yep. And that some surnames, like the Lester surname and the Deal surname, were found on the Cherokee roll, but,
Yeah.
so stuff like that. So we did find there were, the surname was on there, but we didn't find any evidence leading to your ancestor that it connected the two, which may be that it still may be true. We just haven't found the evidence yet.
I think that the maybe true thing is okay for much of my family, but for me, the paperwork is just like everything is correct.
Yeah.
Everything is
It's above
some
board.
proper place.
Yeah.
And then we have the right, just the right information. It feels like it's unfinished business right now. And so
it still is.
I think that you and I kind of discovered as we were like sifting through some of the information and I was trying to show you some things like that family lore is strong.
Mm-hmm.
Other branches of the family that I don't know, they also talk about her being this family and all of the branches of it. We're all claiming this.
Yep.
wherever we may be in the United States, we are all claiming that we have descended from this full-blooded Cherokee. We don't know.
Well, I have learned that the personal accounts of people, they do have a grain of truth. And so it may be fantastical or out of place, but I've learned that it started somewhere. And so it kind of course, with oral history, it changes over time and with multiple people. And so with these personal accounts and this family lore, that yes, it's very possible that you still could be Cherokee, but we just haven't found any paper proof yet. And I did find interesting how you said that somebody sent your grandmother the letter stating, something about that she was Indian or that she was part of the roll or whatever, that they initiated it and she didn't send out that letter.
They are connected somehow to Sarah. I just can't find what the connection is. I can just find the records because it's not on the Dawes roll, and because they used a certain name on the Dawes roll, I just thought they don't have their ducks in a row here. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, for right now, we don't have any direct evidence, like a paper saying yes, you are Cherokee, but there's a lot of implied evidence, especially with the personal accounts, like, people who were there at the event or learned it from their father or mother about it. There's enough people that were at the event or close to it that, yeah, it still might be true. Yes, she is Cherokee, which may or may not happen because of their history of not writing things down. And so we have to find it in other areas, which is a secondhand account, which is not as reliable. So a genealogist really has to try to find the reliable evidence and to prove it. It's kind of like being a lawyer. Like, you have this paper and you have to prove whether it's true or not about this family history. So it's very interesting.
It is interesting. Just the other day, I was talking to a family history consultant, and she had worked a little bit with tribes as well. And so the first thing out of her mouth, she said, are you registered with a reservation? Because if you're not registered, you're not Cherokee.
Oh, gosh.
And I put it in the podcast, and I there's part of me that was like, oh man, that hurts. Like, I understand that, like, I might still have the DNA, but
right.
But And registration may not be my goal personally,
Mhm.
but part of me is like, don't take it away from me.
Exactly.
Please don't take it away from me. Don't say that.
Yep.
You go to a client and say, so here's the deal. There's not much that we have for you.
It is. It's real.
Yeah, I wondered how awkward that conversation was.
Yeah.
When you're like, what am I going to tell her?
I mean, and it's a reputation too. I mean, more people, like by word of mouth, share that you're a genealogist if you find things for people. And so it was a very personal and business challenge I've learned over the time. And the school that I took,
The education that you got.
right, they help with that too.
I'll edit. Don't worry.
Because they talk about negative evidence, because you're definitely going to run into family lines or brick walls that there's nothing. You even a professional genealogist has to say, nope, can't find anything. And so basically, like what I did is I left it open because it really isn't a closed book. For me telling you, it was kind of like, well, the evidence says no, you're not, but maybe we haven't found it yet. But I'm not
Right.
discounting the personal accounts that people are like, I heard this from my father, who had it from his father, and his grandfather was the one that went through the event. So I kind of like the personal accounts have a grain of truth, and I can sense that. Yeah, especially since it's not just one branch across the board with different experiences. And so
I know that's what it makes me feel better about this.
Yeah.
About this journey.
Mhm.
I was going to say that I think that maybe at the beginning you had a pretty healthy skepticism,
I did.
which is probably very good in your line of work.
I do, because for me, I have to have the evidence. I have to see it, because otherwise it is just a story. It's an awesome story, but without the proof, you don't know. I mean, somebody could be lying and passing that down.
Yeah.
There have been many accounts where that has happened out of survival. They have to do it because the circumstances have been so challenging or traumatic that they've had to lie about certain things about their family history in order to survive. Who knows if that happened with the Cherokee family lore, but basically I had to tell you, documents are saying no, but personal accounts are saying yes. So it's still open.
I was wondering that about, like, in general history. We take a lot of things for fact, and some of the things we take for fact because we have journals and diaries, that kind of written evidence like that. There is a part of me that was like, I wonder if that person lied. Like, I wonder if that was just, I wonder how much history, if there is little parts of history here and there that have been just built on somebody's lie, because they were not all truth tellers. We're all human.
Yep. And they want to make themselves look good, or they want to hide a certain fact about them that would, give them the wrong perception and all of that. So yes, in fact, there's been many accounts. The more perspectives that you have on a certain event, the more truth you have about it.
Yeah, you're great. You're great at your job, and I think you should plug yourself.
No, I do have a website called savvygenealogy.com.
Can you spell that?
It's SAVVY genealogy, GENEALOGY.
Okay.
And I'm also found on Instagram and Facebook under the same name. And that's basically where you can find me.
And you do, like, for me, it was kind of as a favor, you did Cherokee, and you're looking into that kind of thing, but you have a specific interest, don't you?
I do. I do specialize in American and Scandinavian research. Scandinavian being Norway, Denmark, and Sweden is where I focus. And I focus on the research, but I've done little projects of varying jobs all over, like the Cherokee thing.
Yeah.
So I help people out where I can, when I can. And if I can't, I let them know too. Like, that's not my area of special expertise, but I have connections that can help you, and other colleagues and stuff that specialize in those areas as well.
Well, good. Yeah, check out Tiffany's website, and yeah, everybody's got some family, and everybody, I'm sure, has family that they have quote unquote lost, just like Tiffany herself. There's branches in your family that you don't have the documents connecting, or maybe you don't have names or dates. And it's just kind of nice to know and corroborate your family lore that you have, just to know for sure, like, are you in fact French? Let's find out. So Tiffany can help you with that.
One 30-second Cherokee with Aubrey Jean, and with all the favors I can cash in. Produced by me, Aubrey. Executive produced by nobody, because I don't know what that means. The Anchor app by Spotify holds my hand for all the engineering. The music is also found on Anchor. You can rate and review this show on many podcast platforms someday, and you might find your review featured on a future episode. Or I might burn it in effigy. Got comments? Send me a message at anchor.fm/Aubrey-Jean. That's anchor.fm/Aubrey-Jean.